All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We have Let's Talk Football episode number 16 here coming for you. Tuesday, April 1st, April Fool's Day. So we're doing a live stream. Haven't done this in so long. It always pisses me off. What's up, Josh? We're going to just I don't know, man. This is only our 16th episode of this. This is available on podcast form. The link to Spotify is down below. I also throw up the Apple link. Throw out a 5-star rating if you don't mind. Really goes a long way. But I can't believe, man, we've only done 16 of these. And like we got Josh in the chat. What's up, Doug? How you doing, man? Nice to see you. We got Josh in the chat. Josh is the OG Rocket guy from back when I first started making content. I made only Rockets content, and we would stream the dog shit. Wow, Victor Oladipo, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Kevin Porter Jr. era of Houston Rockets basketball in college, like every single night. I've probably done, because I've got a golf podcast I've done 250 episodes on. I did a daily live NBA show with my buddy Ciro for years. We did, I think, over 300 of those. My point is, I've done probably over 1,000 live streams. And for some reason, on my channel, that we talk football every single day on, I only have 16 of these episodes. So I'm sick of it. I want to start doing these multiple times a week. And I just keep kind of psyching myself out for some reason. I've been out of the business for so long, and I love talking football. And I know you guys want to as well. So we're here. Throw some stuff down below. I've got a couple of talking points. We're going to be looking at some betting odds, the over-under prediction for next season. And then we have a free agency recap. Ideally, you guys give me stuff to riff off and talk about based on like, your team or whatever you want to talk about, et cetera, et cetera. Or we could just go for it. We haven't done one of these in so long, but the whole ethos, the whole kind of purpose of doing these was to, kind of just have like an open discussion, an open forum. So let's get after it. Hit that like button if you don't mind as well. Like I said, you could listen to these on podcast form if you're at the gym and that kind of stuff. We have a coffee here. It looks disgusting. It's watered down. Hot day here in Florida. We just went to the Tampa Bay Lightning game, played the hockey club about a week ago. All right, we got Josh here. The Houston Texans, and actually, I'll even pull this up. I've got a little bit of something from, oh my God, dude, you guys made a boatload of moves like this. I've got a PFF article that we're going to share the screen here and just kind of use this here. What's up, Rocket News? This is my boy, Chris. Chris does 99% of the thumbnails you see on this channel. He does phenomenal work. So we're looking at the Texans here. And is this zoomed in enough for you guys? Should we do this? That might be a little bit better. All right. Now, Houston's really fascinating because I for some reason, they're like, it's almost like my Packers where the hype is kind of fizzled out in the sense of, 2 years ago when you guys took down like decimated Cleveland and CJ Stroud's rookie season. The hype and the potential was so big. And it was the same year where my Packers, did that to Dallas. And obviously, Love had already been in the league for a couple of seasons and Stroud was a rookie, but I viewed them on similar timelines. And then both teams last year kind of had almost similar trajectories. So I actually feel like this might be too much. I think there's too much on my screen right now. All right, the Texans signed tackle Cam Robinson on a fat contract. Oh my God. Cam Robinson got, Josh, you tell me what you think about that. I can't believe Cam Robinson got that much money. He was not that great for Minnesota last season. But Sheldon Rankins, Daryl Taylor, I like Daryl from Seattle and Chicago, Laken Tomlinson, EJ Speed a couple of days ago, to Ronald Darby, Braxton Berrios. Isn't he dating? He's dating somebody. He's dating a name. Traded for CJ Gardner-Johnson, which is insane. CJ Gardner-Johnson. So I will tell you, there are a couple of teams that I do not know enough about. And the Houston Texans is kind of teetering on the middle part. I did a Texans video right before free agency began, and I haven't done one since then. You guys made a boatload of moves. Derek Stingley. highest paid cornerback, traded Laramie Tunsil, Kenyon Green, and released Shaq Mason. So I know you guys had a brutal offensive line last season. CJ could not stay protected. And Tank Dell's injuries are insane. To kick off free agency, before free agency even began, the trade for Christian Kirk, I really like that. Pair him up with Nico Collins. I think Mechie, there's something there with Mechie. Justin Watson, another sleeper kind of move. That offensive line is fascinating. It's a very deep offensive line now. You guys got your new left tackle. I don't know how I feel about Cam Robinson. I don't know if maybe that was just Minnesota media kind of ragging on him. Still have a great defense. I mean, just such a great defense. Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter are clearly the two headliners. And I really like Darrell Taylor kind of as, pass rush specialist, I would assume would be his role behind Will Anderson and Danielle. Great liner. I like the linebacker room a lot. And then just this new secondary here is kind of insane. And I don't think I really realized this till I'm looking at their depth chart. The Texans secondary is Derek Stingley Jr., Kamari Lassiter coming off a great rookie season, Jalen Petrie, and then the safety room's Kalen Bullock, another stud, and CJ Gardner-Johnson. You even got Jimmy Ward, Ronald Darby back there. That's a really nice secondary, man. So I would say, yeah, Cam Robinson a little overpaid. Whatever, protect Stroud. I mean, we can even get deeper into these. So this is kind of like this is kind of what I want to get into. I'll even just pull this. Let's pull this thing up, baby. Let's get after it today. All right, I'm on PFF. Here we go. All right, so apparently, according to PFF, I'm wrong. I'm just straight up wrong about Cam Robinson last season. So we got for the radio audience, we've got the oops, we'll do this. Hey. We'll rip this. How do you feel, Chris, fellow Texans fan? All right, maybe it was just run blocking is what I'm saying. All right, so we got an overall grade of Cam Robinson, new left tackle he's a big boy, 6'6", 335, clocking in at only 29, 64.7 overall grade for PFF. Pass blocking grade, very solid, 70.4. And then I guess we see that run blocking grade kind of just slightly below average, just very slightly below average. Oof, here we go. All right, this is what it was. 13 penalties last season, 7 sacks allowed. That looks like that would be 14th worst in his metric. Let's take a look at 2023. Really good. 21st best pass blocker in 2023 with Jacksonville. Solid overall grade, above average. Poor run blocking grade. Only gave up 3 sacks. Only had 3 penalties. So, but he did play half of the snaps he did in 2024 with Minnesota. So, interesting. Very interesting. I didn't really love when he was brought. He did fine at left tackle for Minnesota last season, but the Christian Darrisaw injury definitely sucked for them. But he was solid, man. Just glad to catch him, man. Can't wait for draft content. Hell yeah, we can rip a mocker. I rip mocks on PFF all the time, guys. I have a Twitter. I tweet out into the stratosphere because no one sees these tweets except for my boy Josh. Josh always plugging it, so appreciate you. But my Twitter is down below because I like doing just random team mock drafts. So anyone have another team? But I just freaking love doing mocks, man. I think this stuff is so fun. All right, and then while people throw some chats in there, I'm gonna pull up the Athletic because I think they might have an easier to digest free agency recap. It's crazy, man. The draft is less than a month away, and I'm still not done with free agency. I still have plenty left to cover in free agency. I've been trying to make an Arizona Cardinals video for like the last week and a half. I've been trying to make a Saints video for the last like 3 months. I've got really bad sleep issues right now. I cannot fall asleep, which means I cannot wake up. All right. Throw a team in there, man. Anybody. Give me a team. Or if you guys want a mocker, I can just have a mock draft. Let's just have a mock going in the background. I'll get the hang of this as we continuously do this. Hey, hell yeah. Eat some cherries. I'm ripping like 4 cherry yogurts a day right now. All right. I appreciate it. So we got Steelers, and then we got the Lions, and Ian's throwing Seahawks down there. I love the Seahawks. And we should do, let's just do the betting odds after these because I think the Seahawks, man, I like Darnold. Yeah, I'm making so many Seahawks videos. I could do a Seahawks video every single day right now. So I watched so many. I mean, we were covering the Vikings all off season, covering the Vikings all season. Vikings were one of those teams I was pushing heavy. Obviously, they went 14-3. So the Seahawks offseason thus far, as it's on the screen, is headlined by Sam Darnold, Cooper Kupp. The DeMarcus Lawrence move is even just kind of flying under the radar. I think it was probably the age, maybe some injury concerns. The only thing I'm concerned about with the Seattle Seahawks is their offensive line. And when you look at their draft history, your GM's got, he loves his comments about guards in the National Football League. These 2 moves here are huge. I got them highlighted. Ernest Jones coming back, re-signed. They traded for him last year from the Los Angeles Rams. The dude's a beast. He's a tackle monster. He's ever on the field. I've loved Ernest Jones since the second he got into the league. And Jarran Reed, my former Green Bay Packer, the dude is rock solid. The Seahawks were actually a top 5 scoring defense in the NFL in the last 8 games last season. So their defense is littered with talent. But obviously, when we go to the bottom of this screen, a lot of new faces coming into town here. Traded away Geno Smith. They bring in Sam Darnold. I think that is an A-plus move for the Las Vegas Raiders. I thought that was an A-plus move for the Seattle Seahawks. They traded away DK Metcalf, and now the Cooper Kupp and MVS. You feel better about trading DK Metcalf. I'm still surprised Tyler Lockett is unemployed, and I kind of would like Seattle to pick him back up because I like Bobo, but imagine Cooper Kupp misses a couple of games. They got a nice tight end, AJ Barner, coming off an intriguing rookie season. But I just, getting rid of Jermont Jones just never really worked. He had a good year last year, but they don't really need him. Roy Robert Harris, Rashawn Jenkins is gone. George Fant, thankfully, Fant was fine. He's gone. But yeah, I'd like them to. The issue is they have needs I would like them to focus on in the draft, primarily on the offensive line and primarily the interior offensive line. But I will say, Christian Hayes, even Bradford, Samatoa, I always say his name wrong. These guys continue to progress. Haynes and Samatoa had fine rookie seasons, and you're hoping they're going to continue to get better. Olu at center, I think, was super raw coming into the NFL in general. So I'm curious what they're going to do. Are they going to draft a wide receiver? Because when would they draft a wide receiver? Are they going to draft a tight end? Or are they fine with Fant and Barner? They still could use a wide receiver, and then that's not even including the defense. So I'm wondering when they would make a move. I'm thinking maybe 4th round. I mean, you guys have a ton of draft picks, so that's not an issue either. So Seattle's kind of loaded. I would anticipate a huge season next year from the Seattle Seahawks, even if it's not 11-6 or 10-7 or something like that. I do really think this is going to work. And Mike Macdonald, man, this defense, the Seahawks defense for the next several seasons, they got one of the best corners in the league. That defense can be really good. I think the Seahawks, and we'll get into the betting odds here in a second, but I really like the Seahawks, man. We got just Nick throwing this Pittsburgh Steelers. I've made I think I made one Steelers video, and it was when they made the DK Metcalf trade. And I haven't talked Steelers since then because I'm just waiting on a quarterback. And I want to talk Steelers because I'm like, ooh, Jalen Milroe to the Pittsburgh Steelers seems cool, but their defense is way too good to have Jalen Milroe starting games for them. So, I think Aaron Rodgers, as you can see right there, would be, I think he's a perfect fit. Even if you draft Jalen Milroe and you have to make a move for Kirk Cousins. I think that's fine. But Pittsburgh's in a really weird state right now, and they're still making a bunch of moves. Like Darius Slay comes over on a 1-year contract. Malik Harrison, Mason Rudolph is their projected starter, which I can't be down for that. But obviously the highlight's going to be DK Metcalf getting traded and then extended. And you got DK Metcalf and George Pickens, pair them up with, Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington at tight end, Calvin Austin, could have some big time plays this upcoming season. I like the Juan Thornhill move, but really interesting offense, man. I'm not too thrilled how this team just can't figure out the quarterback position. I mean, it's crazy, man. I got a whole Justin Fields goddamn Steelers jersey behind me. Dude goes 4-2 and they let him walk to New York. I am very surprised that Russ Wilson and Justin Fields are not going to be the starting quarterbacks for Pittsburgh next year. And I would have preferred Justin. But I think, man, when Aaron Rodgers signs with them or if they make a move for Kirk Cousins, I do think it's going to be solid. Because that defense is still good, and they still have so many playmakers on offense. And then, of course, they lost Najee Harris, which is a big one. They signed Kenneth Gainwell. So are we going into next year thinking, Nick, if you want to chime in here, are you going into this upcoming season with a running back on your mocks early-ish? Or are you thinking it's Jaylen Warren is up next year? Because I think Jalen's more of a complimentary back. Who obviously can start, does start, gets starter snaps. So I think, rookie at some point would be nice. Then we got Doug here about the Detroit Lions. Man, I keep making Detroit Lions videos. People aren't clicking on these anymore. Slow offseason for Detroit. And your owner and coaches or GMs, all those guys said this the other day in their presser and the pro days or whatever the staff, whatever you guys said, basically the priority in free agency or this offseason was leaving money open for upcoming extensions, which should be the move. And yeah, I just did. Doug's a Panthers fan, bro. You're a Panthers fan, bro. Let me pull up my Instagram here. Doug, you're a Panthers fan? God bless you watching my videos on. Oh, yeah, of course you're a fucking Panthers fan. That's on me, Doug. We haven't chatted in ages. When was the first time we were chatting? Oh, yeah, because you're talking to me in this past summer, dude. That's on me, man. That's on me. Definitely talk some Panthers. All right, let's get after it. I like what the Carolina Panthers are doing a lot. I like Bryce Young a lot. I feel bad, Doug. That's on me. Check the chat real quick. I feel like the Texans will draft another wide receiver in the upcoming draft. Dude, the Tank Dell injury, I'm concerned about Tank Dell being healthy. Dude's so small. He's so small. Back-to-back season-ending injuries. 2-year, $10 million contract. Lockett back to Seattle. I love it a lot. Lockett to Vegas too. Yeah, I totally agree. I like that a lot. Let's take a look at the Panthers real quick before we get into over-unders. Treshaun Wharton, Trevon Moehrig. I don't know if you guys know, I've been covering the Raiders since Devontae Adams got shipped there. It was a sad day. I was in college. I was still doing NBA content on this channel, and I wanted to get into the NFL, and I figured I'm a Packers fan, but I don't want what I love, which is Green Bay Packers football. I don't want that to feel like an obligation. So I made a Raiders channel. It was like the first channel I've ever made in the NFL, and I've been covering them since. And Trevon Moehrig, I think, is an absolute dog. The Panthers were the worst. They were third worst rush defense in the last 20 years, or maybe even NFL history last season. I mean, it was terrible. They gave up 200 rushing yards in their final 6 games, something like that. Terrible. It was absolutely horrid. So Treshaun Wharton comes in, Trevon Moehrig comes in. It was phenomenal. Both those guys are super solid in run defense. Bobby Brown, solid in run defense. Christian Roseboom, Rams fans hate Christian Roseboom. I don't know, man. Guy's always over the football. Terrible in certain aspects, but Rams fans really, really, really hate Christian Roseboom. I liked the move, man, but what do I know? No more Miles Sanders. I really also liked the Rico Dowdle move. to pair up with Chuba Hubbard. The Panthers sneakily, because of the Brooks injury, the Panthers sneakily have a really, really good running back room. And that's, the Rico Dowdle, he can catch the football on a super cheap 1 year, $3 million contract, probably assuming, hopefully Brooks eventually comes back, is healthy, and he's going to be with Chuba, the guys moving forward. But I like a lot of these moves. Pat Jones had a nice year last year with Minnesota. I like it. Resign Brady Christensen. I feel like you guys made another move at a center. I guess not. I was going to check it, but man, I like the Panthers offseason a lot, and I think this is one of those teams where we'll get into it in the over under after the draft. It will be apparent, like, oh, all right, let's start buying some stock here in the Carolina Panthers. Usually when a team is considered an NFC West champ during the offseason, someone else ends up winning the crown. Hell yeah. We made history in the worst way. Detroit's too busy trying to make division titles meaningless. Damn. Man, Detroit, such a weird thing. It feels like, even just not even based on that comment, but on a lot of people's view of the Detroit Lions now, like people are getting sick of their whole kind of shtick. Personally, I'm not, because I got a boatload of family from the Detroit area, so I'll always mess with Detroit sports and the Detroit Lions. But all right, guys, let's put this on the screen. Oh, it's already on the screen. We've got the over-unders. This is ESPN. I think these change based on this is from ESPN Bet, but I'm sure if you look at a different sports book, it's going to be different. I always like doing over-unders. I usually like to find the overs. Unders are a little bit more difficult for me, but I'm optimistic, and I get burned on these a lot. Like the Titans last season, I thought were an easy, absolutely easy, and that just ended up not being the case. So like stuff like the Baltimore Ravens, they're projected 11.5 wins. Are they going to be over or under? I don't know. The Ravens are a really good team. I don't know. They're going to be a really good team. So I don't really care. The Buffalo Bills, 11.5 wins. Are they going to be over? Probably. They can be under? Maybe. A really good team. Right. Kansas City Chiefs, 11.5 wins. This one's a little bit more interesting because the Chiefs have been trending downhill the last couple of, or not last couple of seasons, but like last year they won like 11 one-score games. They were like 8-0 or 11-0 in one-score games. Obviously, they got walloped by Philadelphia. I think a lot of people's concerns with the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line is just because they don't know who these guys are. Like every time I see somebody on TV or an article about the Kansas City Chiefs, it's like, what are they doing on the offensive line? They don't know, but blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, they lost some pieces. Joe Tooney definitely sucks, but like Kingsley's going to slot in at left guard, and Kingsley's a talented Suamatia. He's a talented dude coming off he's got high potential. This was people's concerns about the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line, to me, is like by design. Like this is the Kansas City Chiefs trying to get younger on the offensive line. That's the way I see it. So 11.5 wins in that division, honestly, they could definitely be behind that. But I think as far as like a Kansas City Chiefs officially going off the rails, I think we're at least a year away from that, man. They're still a very good team, and they just went 15-2. Philly, 11.5. I mean, they're the best team of football, clearly Super Bowl champions. I would go over on that. But one thing to keep in mind is Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. They could slip in there and win 2 games. Oof, I'm just going to nuke this. It's watered down black coffee. All right. Bengals, another team I've been trying to get into for the last couple of weeks. The Panthers are really interesting. 9-8. They've had a double-digit win total for the 3rd straight season, but they haven't had a win total of 10+ since 1989. Holy cow. So that should be the answer. Their projected win total is 10.5 wins. Wow. Wow. Did they make the proper moves on the defensive side of the ball to be given an 11.5 win, 10.5 win projection? That seems awfully high. That seems awfully high. So offensively, no new moves, or I should say, no new starters. Samaje Perine comes back to Cincy. Obviously, the T. Higgins move, getting franchise tagged, is their headliner on offense. Jermaine Burton looks like a huge swing and a miss. Mike Gesicki, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins was a scary trio last season, or quado. It's going to be same thing next season. So that offense, 100,000%. The annoying thing, actually, now that I'm looking at the Bengals defensive depth chart, is why are they always bad? And let's see if we can zoom this in for you guys. There we go. All right, nice. All right, that's much better. Keep hitting that like button. Try and get more cats in here. Appreciate y'all. The Bengals obviously have a new defensive coordinator. No more Coach Lou Anamuruo. They bring in Al Golden to be their DC, and like their starters: B.J. Hill, Chris Jenkins, Miles Murphy, Trey Hendrickson, who requested a trade, Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson, DJ Turner, Jordan Battle, Geno Stone, Cam Taylor-Britt had a terrible year. Dax Hill. Over 10.5, I don't feel comfortable saying they're going to win over. I don't feel comfortable at all saying they're going to win 11 games because of the defensive concerns. But honestly, man, looking at the depth chart, and obviously we all know Cincinnati going 9-8 with that defense last season, man, they're still huge threats. And I should make a Bengals video maybe today or tomorrow. Let me know what you guys are thinking about Cincy, though. All right, now we got the Lions here. And once again, where things get kind of difficult is divisions. Yeah, you got the Bears, the Packers, and the Vikings. And even if all three of those teams were dog crap, they're all going to give the Detroit Lions hell, or they're going to try their damn hardest to give them hell. So I think the Lions will win the NFC North once again, and I do think they should win 11 games. And I think, first off, like if I read you the Detroit Lions roster right now, it's pretty much last year's roster. You'd be like, yeah, okay, you're right. The Lions are the Lions. And your GM, I think it was Brad Holmes, the Lions GM yesterday, or the other day, said, an Aiden Hutchinson move. And a player like Aiden Hutchinson it's once in a lifetime. Like, this is a generational talent, and that's 100% true. And I think not having your best defensive player, not having one of the best defensive players, if it was any other team, I mean, it would just be clear as day here. The Chiefs were missing Chris Jones for an entire season, an entire playoff run. Like, yeah, they're probably not going to win the Super Bowl, right? Their defense is probably not going to be the same. So, man, I think that Lions team's good, and that they draft unbelievably well. They draft so well. Does the Bengals defense still suck? I mean, it's a lot of the same pieces here. Kind of getting almost Colts vibes from last season with the Cincinnati Bengals and their lack of moves, which didn't work out for Indy. But I think you could point at the quarterback room for why that didn't work out. Los Angeles Chargers, another difficult one. They're at 10.5 because they went 11-6 last season, but Denver got so much better, and Denver just meant a ton of money on defense and free agency. Obviously, they have a new tight end in Evan Ingram. And the Raiders should give the Chargers some issues, Chiefs, and the Broncos got so good. And it's just the AFC West this upcoming season probably cements itself by far as the best division in the NFL. And so just being in that division and having a 10.5 win total, I think they go over it, but that's something I definitely am not betting on. Los Angeles Rams coming in at a 10.5 win total. I, once again, would stay away from this because it's 10.5 and that's awfully high. But I do think the Los Angeles Rams will win the NFC West if I had to, if I had to make a decision. Stafford is not getting younger. He's not young by any means. He could miss a month of the season and their season is shot. So, Rams and Chargers, the two LA teams, I feel they'll probably be over. They'll probably both win 11 games, but I'll feel good about it. San Francisco, I hate San Francisco 49ers because of my allegiance to the Green Bay Packers, and I just have to hate them. So I'm not, I don't make 49ers videos. I don't really even talk about San Francisco. They still got a team though. They still got a team, much more difficult division with the Rams creeping in there, Darnold and the Seahawks now. Um, I'd probably go the under on San Francisco, but that's definitely a team I am if I were to make a bet like this, I'm staying away. Washington 10.5, man, similar to all these 10.5 teams where it's like, I could see Washington kind of fizzling, still being a really good team, but having a CJ Stroud year two Houston Texans team, or maybe the offensive line isn't the same offensive line. Maybe all these new pieces don't fit as well. But they have their franchise QB, 10.5 wins. Could see it going either way. Definitely, the middle of the pack and in win totals, I usually try to stay away. Like I said at the beginning, I kind of like going down to the bottom of the trenches and being more optimistic. Denver 9.5, similar. Like that division is so hard, but I do think the Denver Broncos should win over 9.5 games next season, probably another 10-7. My Green Bay Packers 9.5 wins. We've got 6 straight winning seasons. They've gone over its win total 5 of the last 6 seasons. The only under came in 2022 when they had 9 wins, Rodgers' last season. At 11-6, the Packers were one of 3 NFC North teams to reach the playoffs last season, and the Packers should win 10 games even in that conference next year. What's up, Mr. Minecraft? That movie come out yet? I want to watch that movie. And here we go. We got the Houston Texans, 9.5. Division's interesting. Colts are interesting. We're about to talk about, I'm sure, Tennessee, Jacksonville. I feel good. AFC is loaded. But I do feel good about the Texans winning 10 football games this upcoming season. Tampa, 9.5. Living here in Tampa Bay now. Full-fledged allegiance. I've already got a shirt. I think they should win 10 games. I think Tampa is really solid. Ooh, looks like they're like the Packers. They've gone over its win total in 5 of the last 6 seasons. Back-to-back winning seasons for the second time in the last 16 years. Bucks total is increased from 7.5 wins last year, which was the Bucks 7.5 win total last year was clear as day. 9.5, a little bit weary, just because it's Tampa. But I think they got better, and that offense, man, the offense is loaded. But hey, got to keep in mind, Liam Cohn no longer with the team. So let's actually take a look. I was going to make maybe a Bucks video today because I got a Bucks channel living here in Tampa. They didn't make anything too crazy. They draft very well. Kalijah Cansey, healthy, stud. Cervantes Dennis, healthy, is a stud. Yaya Diaby. If that secondary can stay healthy, they should be fine. New defensive coordinator, Larry Foote. I think they'll win 10. All right, the Cardinals are a team I really don't know too much about as far as their offseason goes. I was very big on this team last season, halfway through, because I thought Jonathan Gannon's defense was really turning a corner. Let me just get a brief look at their free agency period. Josh Sweat comes over, the big-time splash. Delvin Tomlinson, new linebacker, Brissett. Baron Browning comes back. Evan Brown comes back. Zay Jones comes back. We'll see what happens with that draft. Cardinals are an interesting team, man. I haven't made a Cardinals video in way too long, like over a month. And I've never had an Arizona Cardinals video succeed. Paris Johnson at left tackle, sneaky. People don't really know that. That's sneaky. Trey McBride, top tight end in the National Football League. James Conner was a freaking stud last season. I definitely, looking at their depth chart, they need some help with Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison. They still got Michael Wilson and Zay Jones. So that's a solid team, man. It's a really interesting division. I think Josh Sweat being paired up with Jonathan Gannon could be a little scary. Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator, might be his last year. Budda Baker's a dog. I don't really feel comfortable even just going with a comment on the Arizona Cardinals. I'd probably say the under just because it's one of those divisions that the 49ers and the Rams could toss them around. Seattle can toss them around. Just because that division, I don't really feel great about Arizona. But we'll see what their draft, man. They are cooking something there. And then obviously, how do you feel about Kyler Murray? What are your thoughts on the new rules that the NFL owner implemented? We can look at that. I actually don't know. I really don't know much about what happened. There's new stuff, right? Like they're doing. I'm on the Athletic here and seeing if there's like an article that's just kind of Tush Push lives to fight another day. That'll get banned soon. And I don't really have an opinion on the Tush Push. I don't feel strongly or negatively about it. I do think it's stupid. I don't really think it's pure football, but rules are meant to be broken, and you're supposed to work around things. I mean, you're supposed to find these flaws and these holes. Like think about the tackles, with their how they line up, and then the league makes adjustments. So I can't knock on a team like Philly for running it so successfully, and then other teams not being able to. I mean, I don't really hate it. I hate it when I'm watching the Packers play a playoff game and they're tush pushing it, and we can't stop it. But I don't really care about the tush push. But if I had to make an opinion on it, I would say, yeah, I don't really need it in the league. I prefer just a classic quarterback sneak. Hey, what's up? New to the stream. What's up, Flight Boys? Appreciate you pulling up. So the off-season rule, or sorry, the overtime rule does seem awesome, and I'm pulling it up right here. NFL owners approve rule change allowing both teams to possess ball in regular season. And I don't know why this was never a thing. I could pull it up. I really have no idea, and everyone knows this. Why was this ever a thing? Obviously, I'm a Packers fan. I love Aaron Rodgers, and it's stupid to Rodgers should have more. It's not fair. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, some of these QBs, the overtime rules never made any sense. I just can't believe that that's a rule. I mean, I can't believe college football existed for so long and there are overtime rules, and you just think like, yeah, this is how we're gonna do it. I mean, you got 10 minutes. Especially in like a Madden game, man, I don't want a tie. No one wants to watch a tie. So the new regular season overtime rules will now closely resemble the playoff format, which both teams are given at least one possession. And thankfully, they changed that recently. Like it says, they changed that rule in the playoffs since 2022, where both teams are at least given one. Unlike the playoff overtime period, which lasts 15 minutes, regular season overtime will remain just 10 minutes. Okay, so there we go. Which can still result in a tie. Currently, both teams get a possession in overtime only if the first team to get the ball. The average overtime possession is 5 minutes. Yeah, man, I think ties are stupid. I think they're so unaesthetic. Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't change it to 15, but I guess it's all right. The league also voted to make the dynamic kickoff permanent, but touchbacks on kickoff will now bring the ball to the 35. Holy cow. Touchbacks go to the 35, man. I really like that for kickers. I liked that rule last year for kickers. It's got to be good, man. As a Packers fan, when you have a good special teams, you don't even appreciate it until you have a terrible special teams and you watch a good special teams. Sometimes it wins you a couple of games. I mean, yeah, I didn't really mind that rule. Am I lagging? Are we lagging? Okay, we were lagging, but we're no longer lagging. All right. What are your thoughts on Rodgers taking his time to decide where to go with his career? I mean, right on. I mean, I don't think Rodgers is retiring. Obviously, he was, passing balls to DK Metcalf last weekend, which I think is a good step in the right direction. I don't really know why he isn't signed with Pittsburgh. I don't know what the holdup is. I don't know if it's the offensive line, which is like guys like Zach Frazier. I mean, they got they had some really good draft picks in the last couple of years on that offensive line. And now you got two stud wide receivers. I think Aaron Rodgers ultimately ends up in Pittsburgh, and I'm sure they draft a guy like Jalen Milroe or Will Howard or somebody behind him. But taking his time, I mean, I don't really care. I don't really mind. I don't have an opinion. I don't want Rodgers to retire. I'm not done watching Rodgers play football, but it is kind of weird. Pittsburgh's just been really poor with that whole situation, and um, Rodgers likes to take his time on that kind of stuff. And it's April 1st. I think it's fine. The longer teams play, the more likely a player gets injured. College overtime sometimes that is true. Yeah. I mean, there was that one last year. What was that one last year that went? I mean, it was insane. It was like 7 overtimes or 8 overtimes. That is true, but 15, an extra 5 minutes, I don't think makes that big of a deal. And usually in overtime, you're not. I don't think the 5 minutes makes that much of a deal. And honestly, overtime in the regular season is kind of really cares in general. Overtime's tough because it's like you had opportunities to win the game in regular season, and even as a Packers fan with Rodgers not getting the ball in playoff games growing up, it's like, well, also we should have won in regulation. All right, Chicago Bears. I am wearing my patented Chicago Bears hat and my alma mater, Loyola University Chicago. Chicago 8.5 wins. They should be over it. What is on my foot? Oh. I got this in Mexico. They should be over 10.5. I'm excited about the Bears season. I really am. Oh, Minecraft, you're a Packers fan. Hell yeah. What are your thoughts on Nick Hobbs and Aaron Banks, man? I like it a lot. I like the Banks contract. People are freaking out about the Banks contract. I like it. Nate Hobbs, man, I think Hobbs is a beast. Like I said, with the Raiders, been covering the Raiders for a couple of seasons. I think Nate Hobbs is a baller, and I view it in a similar light of Amik Robertson and even like Trevon Moehrig. I think that Raiders defensive back room is talented. The Raiders DC Patrick Graham he's the man, dude. He knows what he's doing, especially at linebacker. But I got Chicago over 8.5. Dallas 8.5. I was listening to somebody ramble on about why they won't. I still think Dakota Prescott is a really fine regular season QB. And I know like their offensive coordinator hire was weird, and it's kind of weird. Let me just pull up the Cowboys. I don't really make too much Cowboys. There's a couple of teams I don't really make, like the Cowboys, San Francisco. I don't like. I used to, but I could make Niners content now. It was a little bit tough 2 years ago because we should have beaten them, and so should have Detroit. That was such a stupid fucking year. Oh my God, the playoffs from 2 years ago. How do you always lose to San Francisco in the playoffs every single year? But I think Dakota is still a really good regular season QB. Their running back room's weird. Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. It's just a weird room. The wide receiver room's weird too. Jonathan Mingo and Jalen Tolbert. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb. I like Jake Ferguson. I like Luke Schoonmaker. They just spend so much money that I don't see this team, like, unless Dak got hurt for the whole season again, I don't see them actually being like a 7-10 football team. 8-9 is not crazy. Micah's so good, man. Jack Sanborn, new addition. Kenneth Murray, Dante Fowler, Trevon Diggs is still there. I'm a little bit higher on Dallas in the regular season than most people. The longest overtime game was October 23rd, 2021, Illinois versus Penn State, 9 overtimes. Could you imagine that? 9 overtimes, man. I feel like college football goes on long enough. I don't like watching college football unless it's my Notre Dame Fighting Irish or South Carolina. I'll watch those games and just have them on the TV. But I'm more of a fourth quarter watcher with college football. And if there's a big game on, like, I'm from Illinois, man. I've been to University of Illinois more times than I can count. Really cool campus, but I haven't cared about fighting Irish or fighting Illini football since Juice Williams. Anyone remember Juice Williams? I'm gonna pull up. Hold on, let me look up Juice Williams. If there's any like youngsters who don't know Juice Williams, you should just watch some clips, man. This guy was hilarious. This guy was a stud. Looking at his stats were horrible. His best year came in 2008. He had a 57.5 completion percentage, but he threw for 3,000 yards, 265 passing yards a game. He had 22 touchdowns and 16 interceptions. This guy was just a baller. I mean, he could run lights out. He averaged 53 rushing yards per game in college. His lowest in his 4-year college career was 507 rushing yards at a QB. Juice Williams that was good times for U of I football. But anyways, no one cared. Dallas Cowgirls, we're done with that. Let me remove that link. And let's get back to the show. Rodgers skipped training camp and Jets ended with a worse record than Zach Wilson. I'm not sure why Steelers would want that over Russ or Fields. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't want Justin, especially considering Russ really sucked at the end of the season. I think Russ is just going to be like maybe a little bit better Danny Dimes for New York next season. But I know people hate Rodgers diva shenanigans, and they do get old and they get annoying. What's up, Shift God? How you doing? But yeah, if Arthur Smith wants their offensive coordinator prefers a mobile quarterback in Justin Fields, but to be honest with you, man, I know people don't like this, and I know Rodgers' advanced stats maybe weren't the best at times last season. The Jets also sucked. Rodgers is better than both of those two QBs combined, in my opinion. I'd rather have Rodgers for 1 year with that team. The Pittsburgh Steelers have way too good of a roster to not be winning a playoff game. How is that a thing? Who do you think we get in the draft this year? I think it's just going to be best player available. I think that's what it's going to be for the Green Bay Packers. I'm ready for Texas football. Arch Manning, future Giant. Pass rusher, wide receiver for the Packers. It's a good question. Let me pull up the depth. Or, a rookie wide receiver doesn't really get me going too much because Christian Watson, when he's healthy, is a beast. Dontavian Wicks, outside of the drops, I like. Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave are really nice. Tucker Kraft's really nice. Romeo Doubs, man. Romeo Doubs just kept getting hurt last season. I'm a little bit weary of. Hopefully he can just not get concussed. When they're healthy, man, it's really good. I'm still a little bit weary. Packers haven't done a wide receiver in the first round, and Lord knows it's been forever. So I don't think they'll get a wide receiver round one either way. Marshawn Lloyd, backup RB, I'm excited about. Our pass rushers, I think, are fine. Rashawn Gary, Devontae Wyatt inside, Kenny Clark inside, Ngabare, Brenton Cox. I like Brenton Cox a lot, but yeah, Rashawn and Lucas. Cooper, Quay Walker, linebacker. I don't know, man. I'm still kind of feeling. I don't know how they truly view Jair Alexander, but this is such a good edge rushing draft that you're right. I'm feeling edge or cornerback if like a stud fell on their laps at cornerback. But yeah, you're right. An edge rusher that's the move. You're right. All right, let's finish these up. Miami, honestly, I have no idea. I literally have no idea. I like Tua. Tua's cool. 10.5 wins, 8.5 wins in that conference. It's kind of like Arizona, man. I don't think I'm well versed enough to know. Minnesota, 8.5. This is why it's hard because Minnesota's a good football team. How's JJ gonna look? I just did a film study on JJ McCarthy. Go check it out. It was really good. 8.5, man. That might be tough in that division. But do I see Minnesota going 8-9, man? They got a really good team. That's a tough one, dude. That Minnesota's a tough one. I like a lot of these. I really don't. I'd stay away from it. I don't have an opinion. Same with Pittsburgh, man. I definitely got nothing. What do you got this ad up here? Hey. Okay. What if you went down? No. All right. Pittsburgh 8.5. Let's see what the quarterback, and we'll go from there. Seattle 8.5. This is another tough one. Seattle's won 8.5 in 12 of the last 13 seasons. Yeah, let's hammer it. With that offensive line and the dysfunctionality in the coaching room offensively, with Darnold at QB, I don't know why that. I don't. I almost feel like I'm being brainwashed from social media of how good the Rams are and why the Rams are like out of nowhere, like incredibly good. And I think that's why I'm weary on teams in the NFC West. So I do, I'll go over 8.5 on Seattle, which I think would be a hot take. New England's win total was very high, 7.5. And I do think they'll be over it. I think a lot of these new additions, I honestly think it will be very similar to CJ Stroud rookie season turnaround, Commanders rookie season turnaround. They've got their guy in Drake May, didn't start for the season. The team was horrible at certain parts, and they really built their floor up. I've been really big on emphasizing that on some of these rebuilding teams. Like they really, really, really improved their floor, and they're more well-rounded. They're actually after this draft class, they'll be a complete football team. And 7.5 is kind of high, though. I view that as high, but I do feel good about the Patriots. I think they can win 8. And I wouldn't even be surprised after the draft if I throw them in a playoff, if I throw them in a slot. My biggest concern for the Packers, honestly, the wide receiver room has me a little bit weary. I would like a vet to come on in here, and I like Lockett schematically, I don't think is a good fit, but I do think the Packers should bring in a vet in that room. I think we need a vet in that room, and I know we brought in McCole, and I think he'll have some nice plays for Love next season and special teams if they rip him there. But that wide receiver room's got me weary because it's, I'm thinking just like in the playoff game, I'm not thinking about week 4 in Atlanta. I'm thinking about, wild card round, divisional round in Philly, in the sleet, in the snow. Are my receivers catching these footballs? Are these guys going to get open for Love? Is Love not going to throw these picks because the receivers aren't synced up? So health in the wide receiver room. It's not about sucking or not. Rodgers doesn't seem dedicated to game anymore. Signed to a new team, and you don't attend mini camp or training camp when it takes a year or two to create chemistry. Do you watch the Hazard? What team do you like? Do you watch that documentary? Yeah, I kind of want to rewatch that. I watched that on one night. I don't know. I'm not a football player. I'm not a member of the New York Jets, so mini camp. I mean, you're not wrong. I don't know, dude. You're not wrong. You're just not wrong. I'm not, but I'm also not a player, and maybe it's fine. Maybe it's really not fine, and that's a huge divide. The Jets, as an organization, I don't think have too much. I don't know, man. I think. I mean, obviously they fired Saleh way too quick, and Saleh should probably have never been fired. Saleh should have never been fired. So it is weird. I just would like Rodgers to end on a high note, and I don't think that the Steelers front office is the best in the quarterback room or even offensively, but they just made a move for DK Metcalf, and that effort is big to me. I would like Rodgers. I think in Pittsburgh, even though if you think he's got off the field issues or you don't think he's the best teammate or whatever, he's not the best quarterback. I think Pittsburgh is set up. Everything around the QB is set up. It's set up. So I'd like to see Rodgers go to Pittsburgh, go 11-6, try and win a playoff game and just end his career on a high note, and then give the keys to Jalen Milroe or something like that. But the Rodgers saga, as a hardcore Packers and Rodgers supporter, I just don't even whether it was last year, the year before, or this year. I don't really pay attention to it. Rodgers to Minnesota would have upset me because not because he's going to Minnesota. I think it would be cool to follow the Favre route, but I don't really I mean, playing Rodgers twice in a Vikings jersey just sounds sad, man. Just sad. How many games do you think the Seahawks are gonna win? I'd probably just go 10-7 here, like they have the last couple of seasons. I'd like to get a draft going here before we get into it. I'd like to see what they do on the offensive line. I'd like to see how they go about their draft will tell me how they view their offensive line. So I'm excited. I'm a Seahawks fan. I don't hate GBA. I consider them rivals, right? My only hate is reserved for Niners and Rams. I view Seattle as a rival as well. I view it as a friendly rival. I view it as a competitive rival. Like I don't have bad blood with Seattle at all, like I do with San Francisco, even though Seattle has broken my heart numerous freaking times. Like Golden Tate, and the replacement refs. I golfed one time with Golden Tate. I should have asked him. I should have asked him about that if he had caught that or not. What his view on that was, but um, Seattle, like even with Detroit, man, I view them as like competitive rivals. Like those are good games, man. Seattle plays really fun games. Falcons, I'm not quite there yet. 7.5 win total. Penix is gonna be the starting QB. I like Penix a lot, man. I really do. Paired up with Bajan, Drake London, give Kyle Pitts a last shot. Um, is Darnell Mooney still in? I assume Darnell Mooney's still in Atlanta. What was that? 7.5? I think Atlanta could go over that. Wow, Darnell's still only 27 because his tenure with Chicago. His prime was Chicago. His peak was Chicago. Feels like a long time ago. Damn, dude, Atlanta's last winning season came in 2017. It's just crazy, dude. Atlanta's stuck in 7-8 win purgatory. But that will Penix entering his full season as a starter. I think that changes a lot. Panthers 6.5 wins. This is one of my easier overs of this. I think Carolina will 1,000% win over 6.5 games. And Bryce Young, I think, is a solid QB. The Panthers went 5-12 last season. I mean, if you watch the Panthers play football last season, in the first half of the year, they went 5-12, kind of insane. They fixed a lot of their defensive concerns, and that alone should win you at least one football game. And I think Bryce Young, Dave Canales, year 2, no more benching, new running back weapon, draft coming up, man. I think Carolina should definitely win 7 games next season. Indy's interesting. I made a video. I'm big on Anthony Richardson still, in the sense of I really want it to work out. The Colts have reached at least 7 wins in 4 of the last 5 seasons. They just won 8 games. I think they might have too good of a roster to win. What is that? 6.5 games. Yeah, the Colts should be over this. I'm not throwing a bet on the Colts. I would on the Panthers. I'm not a betting man, so don't use me as that. But interesting wide receiver room. Daniel Jones. I think the Colts will win over 6.5. Jacksonville 6.5. Oh man, we're getting into the trenches here. Jags had an 8.5 projection last season. Over the last 17 years, the Jags have only had 3 winning campaigns and 1 season over 10.5 wins. But we only need them to get to 7. I made a Jags video recently about their free agency. No one really watched it, but it's all right. Brian Thomas Jr. is extremely good. ETN and Bigsby, two new moves on offensive line, but Robert Hainsey's a little bit of a risk. Jordan Lewis and Eric Murray, the new additions on the defense. Darnell Savage, Tyson Campbell, Jurian Jones in the secondary. Aluakin's nice. Devin Lloyd's nice. Trevon Walker, I think, is about to officially break out here. Jacksonville going over 6.5, man. That's just a tough one because I'm not really sure. I think Lawrence is a good QB, and I think Liam Cohen knows what he's doing. I'll say the Jags win at least 7 games. Las Vegas, this one's easy to me. They'll definitely win over 5.5 games next season. The Raiders will win 6 games next season. That one's easy. Saints 5.5. I need to make a Saints video. I'm not well versed in the New Orleans Saints enough. But I really don't think Derek Carr is that bad of a quarterback. I think he's super slightly above average, and I think that's enough. Chris Olave, no tight end. People they hate when I say they have no tight end. Saints fans hate when I say you have no tight end. You have no tight end. Foster Moreau, Juwan Johnson, Taysom Hill. You got no tight end. Kamara's not getting younger. Kool-Aid McKinstry, man. Oh, jeez. Who's the coordinators now? Brandon Staley and Doug Nusenmeyer. But I like the Kellen Moore hire. I'll say the Saints win 6 games. Is that it? Oh my God. I'm going to run through this. I'm done with this. Giants 5.5. Let's wait till the draft. Jets 5.5. I think they will. I think they'll win 6 with Justin. And I especially if they draft a tight end at 7. Titans 5.5. 100,000%. I said this in my Titans video yesterday. I think the Titans will. I've said this 3 straight years. This will be my 3rd straight year saying the Titans turnaround is here. But Cam Ward, I think, brings the Titans to at least 6 wins. The Browns, dude, I don't even know. Shedeur Sanders on the Browns, they should win 5. And there we go. Is that it? All right. Phew. All right. Sorry about that. I'm sure if you watched that back, it probably is slow. Every time Green Bay faced the Niners, I rooted for you guys. Hell yeah. Same. With the Seattle Seahawks. I'm taking the over on the Jags. I think they'll win the division. Houston traded Tunsil and brought in one of our released linemen to protect Stroud. Who was it? Houston Texans depth chart. Oh, Laken Tomlinson. Yeah, I mean, Titus Howard's going to get that left guard spot, right? Ed Ingram, new right guard. Yeah, it's an interesting offensive line, man. But it is deeper. It's way deeper than it was last season. I like that defense, though. I'm telling you, man. I really like that pass rush. So first off, to me, here's the thing with Texans and their defense. DeMeco Ryans, right? Where'd he play in the NFL? What room is he going to coach very well, just in general, for being DeMeco Ryans, all right? And then we have the defensive line. It's pretty good, right? Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter. And then I look at the secondary, and it's Derek Stingley, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Kalen Bullock, Kamari Lassiter, and Jalen Petrie. I mean, that's a top 10 defense. At worst, borderline top 10 defense. So if C.J. Stroud can win with a poor offensive line and have that record, but there's no Tank Dell, there's no Stephon Diggs. I know they didn't have Diggs for much longer, but Mixon's good. I don't know. That's interesting that I think I disrespect Swaggy. What are you talking about? How did that find its way into this live stream? They disrespect Swaggy. I love my man Swaggy, and I hope he makes NFL videos again. And I know you guys all probably have at least seen one, even if you don't know. Swaggy's the godfather OG to NFL on YouTube, and he is the one who brought me into the space. And I know he'll be back. Swaggy will be back making NFL content eventually. All right. Before we end here, I just want to... No, what are we doing here? Hey, before we get out of here, I want to toy around with a quick mock draft. I don't know how far we'll go. Got 8 people in here. Peace out, Hazard Man. I appreciate you keeping the chat going. See you next time. Is this just not going to work? We're just not going to work today. Is that the move? All right, one more second. Mock draft simulator. I think the Texans will figure something out. I agree with you, Chris. All right, here we go. This works, right? Okay, there we go. We got a mock draft on screen here. Let's do the first round, and let's do all teams. Let's do go public, care for positional value. I don't really know what any of if those matter. All right. The first pick for the Tennessee Titans, I see him going Cam Ward. Why is Cam Ward not on here, man? What are you guys doing? Where's Cam Ward? The 21st ranked prospect, according to PFF, goes number 1. All right, Shedeur Sanders. This one should be fun. Where is he ranked on the mock draft? I've got some sources. I'm not very well versed. The Shadour's not even on this fucking list. Unbelievable. The Shadour Sanders hate is absolutely ridiculous. 46th ranked prospect according to PFF. We're going with him to number 2, and then throw in anything you guys think down below. I do not see the Giants passing on Travis Hunter based on their quarterback moves, and I don't think they'll have a quarterback available. And I'm going to go Travis Hunter at pick number 3. All right, the Patriots, Mason Graham, I don't think is as good as people think he is. I will say, should we go tackle? I think the Patriots will draft either Abdul Carter or I just passed him, Will Campbell. I'm going to go Will Campbell. All right. Now, number 5, the Jacksonville Jaguars will have the ability to draft Abdul Carter and pair him up with Travon Walker. Or they can draft T-Mac, who just said he doesn't watch football. Stupid comment to say. I won't overreact, though. I think the Jags will do something stupid and draft like Mason Graham. And I don't mean that disrespectfully to Mason Graham or the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I don't know why Abdul Carter is available at this far. This is how you know this is already stupid. You're telling me the Raiders can have their pick at Abdul Carter or Ashton Genty. I mean, why would they not take Abdul Carter in that scenario? Why is Abdul falling all the way to 6 in this? This is stupid. All right, I'm going Genty at 6. And since Abdul Carter is available at pick number 7, why the hell not New York? But Tyler Warren is there. There's always draft day surprises. Pats will get Carter. Yeah, I was close doing that. Jags get Armand. Yeah. So where the hell is Abdul Carter going to go? Will the Jets actually draft Tyler Warren at pick number 7? I think they could. Or do they go with a right tackle the future? Oh, man, you got to protect. Do they view Justin Fields as that guy to draft their long-term right tackle? Either way, I'm going to go with him at 7, Abdul. Wait, I didn't draft Tyler Warren? Wait, that was the Jets? Okay, so I am retarded. Jets should get Stewart. I'll just keep it a buck with you guys. This mock's cashed out. You're telling me the Carolina Panthers are going to have a choice at Abdul Carter, McMillan, or Tyler Warren? Oh boy. How do you not take Abdul Carter even though you need a wide receiver? The New Orleans Saints will give you T-Mac. He's your mess now. The Chicago Bears. I'd honestly probably trade out of this. I'd take Josh Simmons, but they don't even really need a Josh Simmons, man. They'll take a Josh Simmons. Braxton Jones, give him a year. San Francisco, I'm not really sure, like I said, about San Francisco's situation. I'll give you Barron. The Dallas Cowgirls could use just a lot. I'll give you something crazy, and we'll go with Marianne Hampton. And that's how you know the mock's done. So we're done. We'll do this next time. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Chris. That's it. We only got 5 cats in here. Thank you, Chris, and everyone else tuning into this live and post live. If you're watching this post live, thank you for watching. I just said that. Listen to this on streaming sites if you want to. The link's gonna be down in the description, and I will also put it in the comment section when it's posted. It'll take like an hour or 2 after this, so stay tuned for that. But I appreciate it if you like really pushing these live shows. So thank you for watching. Hit the like button. You know the drill, and we'll see you hopefully in a couple of days at the most. Peace.